Hey, and welcome to Fit Me Turo Fitness Podcast, a podcast for people who want to get no BS information about fitness and know that fitness is about so much more than losing scale weight. It's about feeling confident in your skin and empowered in your life. I'm your host, Turo Virta, personal trainer, strength and nutrition coach, and most of all, a husband of my beautiful wife, Miriam. Each week, my guests and me will give you some no BS fitness tips and motivate you to take action in your own personal fitness journey as we talk about nutrition, exercise, mindset, personal development, and executing in life with enjoyable but still effective strategies. If your goal is to look better, feel and be strong and experience transformation from inside out, you, my friend, are in the right place. Thank you for jumping in. And now let's jump into today's episode. Welcome to Fit Me Turo Fitness Podcast. In today's episode, I have a guest, Adrian McDonnell, and we are going to talk about skinny fat solutions and how to tone up without looking like a bodybuilder. So, first of all, welcome to my show, Adrian. And can you tell first a little bit about yourself and your background in fitness?
Hey Turo, first of all, thanks so much for having me on, man. And yeah, of course, of course. So I was kind of like a late-ish bloomer to the gym. Growing up until I was like the age of 18, I would have played GAA back home in Ireland. And for anyone who doesn't know GAA, it's an Irish sport, Gaelic Athletic Association. So it's like we play football, we play hurling. The games are typically 60 minutes long. And the main form of activity or exercise is cardio. So cardiovascularly, I would have been quite fit growing up. And then when I turned 17, I went to college. And if you looked up the definition of skinny in a picture dictionary, you probably would have, my face or my physique would have popped up at that age because I'd never lifted in the gym before. I'd only done cardio. I was quite skinny, maybe 67 kilograms, nearly 6 foot tall. And after my first year in college, from drinking a few nights a week, you know, yourself, and having Nutella for breakfast with freaking crackers and Cocoa Pops and all the garbage food, I essentially went from being what you would call skinny to skinny fat, where I had a higher than normal amount of body fat, but a lower than normal amount of muscle. And I guess that was my driver call to action, that at the end of first year wasn't very confident in myself, speaking to girls or anything like that. I wasn't the guy going up or leading any conversation. I felt very insecure in myself. And I remember at the end of my first year in college, by chance or by luck or by fate, I saw an ad on Facebook for a 3 month gym membership in my local town for €99. So that was my call to action, that, okay, maybe this is a sign that I need to do something. And from there, Turo, when I went to the gym for the first time, I remember, even though the day 20th of May 2013, it's weird, I remember dates, I'm weird like that, but that was my first ever gym session. And whether it was true or not, I remember at the end of my first workout, and I was getting change afterwards, and I just saw myself in the gym mirror. And for the very first time, like my first pump in my life, I saw a vein, like a small little vein, but
Wow.
nonetheless a little vein in my right bicep. And I was like, whoa, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of that. And look, that was like, progress is addictive. And the good thing about fitness, and the thing I love about the gym is, you know, the pump, it almost, you can see changes instantly. And even if it's only something small like that, like for me, that was enough motivation that, you know what, I feel good doing this. So I'm going to come back and do it again the next day. And look, essentially, I got in contact with a coach. He gave me a plan to follow that religiously for the full summer. And then all of a sudden, you're seeing your friends back in college. And I was no longer Small Adrian, which was my nickname. They're
Mm.
seeing me change that because they haven't seen me over 3 months, and like, you're building a bit of muscle and you're feeling more confident. And just from there, then it just became an obsession, man. And I haven't looked back, thankfully, 11 years on nearly at this stage.
Amazing. That's such a motivating story, and it's just that there are a few things what points out for me. Like it's just that like there is always, like, you never know when it's going to happen. Like it was for you, was
100%.
just that one commercial what you saw and got you sign up, and then it's some kind of results, like immediate progress, or if it's just now. You are laughing about it, that it's just seeing some small vein, but it's some kind of, like, often, like, it's not you don't get motivated that you are able to lift to 100 kilos or whatever. It's just some small regular thing what you probably didn't know this before, and these are just the real life examples, being able to do some task in your daily life, like opening a jar bottle, or being able to lift your suitcase, or what you haven't done earlier, and now you are able to do it, or you are able to see. Like for you, it was a kind of visible example, but love to hear this kind of stories. So you could, because you never know how it's going to end up. It's just that when you get started and focusing, like I probably at that time you didn't plan to work out for
No.
next 20 years. It was going through for a week or a month, and it ended up 3 months, and now I don't know how long time ago that was,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's amazing, and just something small like that, like whatever you're at, and but it's also important as well, Turo, that you see, I some people are kind of in the middle zone, and the middle zone is like the danger zone where you're not too displeased with where you're currently at, but you're also not in the best position,
mm,
and that can just kind of lead us to stay in the comfort zone. But for me, I'll be honest, I was very, very insecure in myself. I lacked a lot of confidence, and I just didn't like what I was seeing in the mirror. I wasn't really they talk about self-love. I wasn't really, a big fan of myself, if I'm being honest. But
mm,
in one way, that's kind of a good thing because I got to a point of pain where I had to take action. And
mm,
that's what drove me to take action. So,
right.
sometimes pain, of course, is bad, but sometimes it's a great teacher and it's a call to action. And my call to action was I need to change something about it. And thankfully, the gym found me at that time and I haven't looked back since.
Oh, amazing. So about skinny fat, you said that you recognized that you were kind of skinny fat, but as there is some kind of like a fitness term, and maybe some people, they don't realize that if they are actually skinny fat, or so what does it mean? Uh,
Yeah.
or what are signs that to be able to know that you are like kind of skinny fat?
Well, I'll preface this by saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with being skinny fat. Just because you're skinny fat doesn't make you a bad individual or a bad person, or as if you're broken or that you're not capable of change. Being skinny fat essentially means you have a higher than normal amount of belly fat or body fat, but you have a lower than normal amount of muscle mass.
Mhm,
So it's like you may feel like you're quite skinny in your clothes, but when you take your top off, you have a bit of stubborn layers of belly fat that you just can't get rid of.
mhm,
And essentially, the root cause of being skinny fat just comes from having a lack of muscle across your entire body.
mhm,
So, knowing that to be true, then the simplest and most effective way to fix skinny fat is to start strength training, doing progressive strength training in the gym, not freaking burpees, not mountain climbers,
mhm,
not, all of these kind of fat burning quote unquote exercise, like just lifting weights. And what I would say for anyone, if you have that pain point just like I did, putting a big emphasis initially starting out on the compound lifts. Compound meaning they train more than one muscle group at a time.
mhm,
So the tried and tested, the boring and basic movements, which a lot of people tend to avoid, but there is a lot to be said for doing them, particularly when you're starting out, just getting really good at maybe doing bench press or doing like chin ups or inverted rows if you're not able to do a chin up, or doing like just a hex bar or a trap bar deadlift, mastering the squat position, mastering the lunges, the overhead press. All of these tried and tested exercises, they've been around for years for a reason. And success does leave clues. And look, there's no one single best exercise. I'm not saying there's one single best method, but
mhm.
I think there definitely are some good practices. And if you fall into that category like I did, placing a big emphasis just when you're starting out, or even if you might have a few years of experience, but you're wondering you're not making a whole lot of progress, like just prioritizing getting stronger at those compound lifts. And that's when you will really start to see changes in your body.
No, absolutely, and this is something like often, like obviously, first of all, if somebody doesn't know what are compound lifts, so they are like basically like what you mentioned, just regular exercises. They are not those what you are probably seeing tons in Instagram or in social media nowadays. But if you think like what you mentioned, bench press. Simply chin-ups or chin-up or push-ups, chin-ups or some kind of row movement, and
Yeah.
what I like obviously squats, deadlifts, and these kind of basic compound exercises, and those are like that's when as a coach is when you see so many like kind of those burn belly fat workouts, it's a lot of
Yeah.
burpees or doing kind of like, it looks obviously great in the social media. They get probably a lot of attention, but I feel it's going a little bit like in that way that you gotta wrap around like 1,000 different bands to make some regular exercise look a little bit better, and something what nobody haven't seen, when you could be doing it a lot more effectively with just with some basic exercises. So
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And look, advanced people, they never skip the basics. And
oh
if
yeah,
we were to really simplify strength training down to her, like it's just a case of pick like 15 exercises, 10 to 15 different
oh
exercises
yeah,
max, and just get really, really good at
oh
performing
yeah,
those and find some ways to change them up so you don't get completely bored. So a deadlift could be a deficit deadlift where you do it from an elevated position.
yeah.
I don't know, we'll say like a Bulgarian split squat, you could do a foot elevated Bulgarian split
Oh,
squat,
yeah.
or a bench press, you could go from an incline to a decline to a flat. You're still training the same movement
Oh, yeah.
pattern. You're still doing the same exercise. You're just finding a different way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Or simplest way, what I love to use is just the month by. I use it for most of my clients every single month, that you focus on heavy lifts on one, then next you change kind of hypertrophy phase, which is 6 to 12 repetitions, and then maybe next month is endurance from let's say 12 to 15 repetitions. So you are working kind
Yeah.
of different load, different
Yes.
reps,
Yeah.
different rest time. So it's kind of staying interesting, because you are not, if you do all the time, like even if your goal is to build, this is like one of the most common misconceptions what I see is that when you focus, you think that you want to build muscle. So you have seen from internet that the best muscle building range is 6 to 12 repetitions. So you only do 6 to 12 repetitions. But if
Yeah.
you, let's say, if you do in a 3 months, 1 month, let's say 2 to 5 repetitions, like kind of maximum strength phase, then next month 6 to 12, and month after that 12 to 15 repetitions, I'm pretty sure, or I'm sure you will get a lot better results instead of doing just that 6 to 12 repetitions all the time. Even you try to implement that kind of progressive overload and getting stronger in those
Yeah.
exercises.
I love that method of periodization. Absolutely. Like just working different rep range. And it's not to say you can't like build muscle in the 1 to 5, or you can only build would say, or optimize for hypertrophy in the 6 to 12. But generally, as you were saying, that those rep ranges, they do leave clues. I really like that as well. Just again to keep things interesting, because you have to have a bit of fun as well in the gym. If your goal should be never to, like, there's no end date with this. The end date is I want to be the fittest man in the grave. I want to be
Mhm.
lifting until I freaking die. So as you were saying, Turo, it's good to find some ways to make it fun for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm all with you on that front.
Yeah. So then about skinny fat, like there is always that kind of dilemma that where you should, like, if you are skinny fat, so you need to build muscle, lose fat. So where to get started?
Yeah, it's a hard one, and that's a great question, Tor, because there's no one size fits all answer. But what I would say is, if you were to just look at maybe your current physique, if you're more leaning on the side that, God, I have a pretty decent amount of body fat and I am quite skinny as well, but you've more body fat, would say, than muscle. What I would say is, if you have more body fat, be in a slight calorie deficit, like not a major one, only like a 5 to 10% calorie deficit. Whereas if your physique is you need to build more muscle and you don't have a whole lot of belly fat, but you still have a bit of stubborn bit like I did, I'd recommend either being a calorie maintenance or in a slight calorie surplus.
Mhm.
But for a lot of people with that physique, like the good thing is you can almost do a body recomposition where you build muscle and lose fat simultaneously. The process being making sure you're strength training, which is what we're already speaking about, training within 1 or 2 reps of failure, prioritizing fundamentally the compound lifts, and then making sure your protein intake is high. So like having a high protein intake, about 2 grams per kilo of body weight, that's a surefire recipe that if you're doing, train each body part twice a week, 4 times a week, maybe in the gym, having a good high protein diet and staying in and around your maintenance level. Some people you might be slightly above in a slight calorie surplus, other people in a slight calorie deficit. But if you kind of follow those metrics, it should yield good results.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is like what I like. I like to simplify this, that basically your training never changes. It will be
Yeah,
always pretty much
100%.
same. What changes is amount of nutrition, and especially for beginners, if you don't have a lot of experience with strength training, you will see progress even you are in a deficit.
Yeah,
So you will get those kind of newbie gains, and you will make progress. So, but that is usually, I would say, maybe around 3 to 6 months. And after
yeah,
that, it's getting so challenging. So if you eat all the time in a deficit, you won't get the same results. So that's why like your body is adjusting. That strength training is not new anymore. So you need to adjust also your nutrition in that point. Like and for that, I always tend to go for most people, like you said, that for starting in a deficit, adding that strength training, but obviously it depends on several things. Like you said, that
100%.
there is no one solution what works for everyone, and that's why you might ask some coach or someone who can give you advice where to get started, and then it's all about seeing how everything goes if it works, and because there is no not single coach. We would be lying if we would tell that this is the only way to do it. So there is nobody knows it for sure what will work for you individually, but this is like kind of if you get started, you get the starting point. What is probably like the best chance is to get some results, and then if it's not working based on results and how you are feeling, then it's time to make adjustments.
Make
So
adjustments. Yeah, I'm with you on
so
that.
it's just to acknowledging when it is when it's happening and when to do and what to focus on, but it's just don't make it too complicated. It
For
basically
sure.
it doesn't matter. So then what I question, what I often get, or I'm sure you get it too, is that especially women, they don't want to look too bulky. So they are kind of
Yeah.
scared of using weights, and that they like kind of being small, but they would like to look more toned. So could you explain the concept of toning up without bulking?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is such a great question again. So when people say they want to tone up, when you think about it, what gives your body that shape and that tone? What gives your body that shape and that tone? No, it is not your bones. It's having muscle in the absence of belly fat. How do you build muscle? You build muscle by lifting weights. How do you lose belly fat? You lose belly fat by being in a calorie deficit. So toning up is a very simple way of saying you want to build muscle and you want to drop belly fat. Now, for any female listeners out there, because I know there definitely was that misconception. Now, to be fair, I think thankfully we're moving away from that. I see a lot of girls now getting after in the gym and lifting good weights and barbell glute bridging well over 100 kilograms, and there's no like, and their success is really evident of their physique. But even for any female listener out there, if you try to get bulky, like, do you think that working out more is going to make you look worse? When you think about it like that, lifting weights for the most part, it's not going to make you bulky. What's going to make you bulky is if you're eating an excess amount of calories, which is then going to cause you to gain weight, and then as a result, that's where the bulk will come in. But provided that you're lifting weights, following what you were saying there, Turo, of the different strength phases, the different rep ranges, and following those compound lifts, and you have a pretty clean diet, you're in that slight calorie deficit, you're going to tone up. That's what's going to give your body that shape and that tone. If you wanted to bulk up, it would actually be much, much harder, particularly with women again, because those guys, we do have an easier time building muscle with our testosterone levels. And with women, you would just have to have a lot more input in order to get that output.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and this is like what I like you said, that it's not it's a long process. It doesn't happen overnight, and I think now most of the people, it was back in the days like all people, they were those magazines and looking like a women bodybuilders, and then they were looking how they are training, they are lifting weights, and now there's still like I feel many women are afraid to, or maybe not using doing a weight training or strength training, but especially using heavier weights, because they are like
Yeah,
immediately
yeah,
like this is in with the women who I work with, there are very few women who are not afraid or who are using like heavier weights. They are very, very few. And this is often like how you get those actually results, what you haven't got until now, is the secret lies in a work you are avoiding. So
100%. Oh,
it is
amen, brother.
it
Yeah.
is it is
That and probably an excess amount of cardio too. You see a lot of women do.
oh yeah.
I want to lose belly fat, so they think that doing lots of cardio, like cardio is great for burning calories, but if you
Mhm,
just do cardio in the absence of strength training, you're just going to become a smaller, skinnier fat version of
mhm,
yourself. And when you think about it as well, like strength training, it's the single most efficient way to increase your metabolism because the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn while rest. And while cardio is great for burning calories and it will have like more of a burning effect during the session, it's the afterburn of strength training, it's the after benefit where
mhm.
a lot of people don't realize. So if you are someone out there and you do like cardio, absolutely do it, but don't just do it on its own in the absence of strength training. If your goal is what you were saying, Turo, to tone up.
Yeah. No, and this is like for cardio, I always like to this also like something like in the beginning, it basically doesn't matter. But then especially later on, I like to focus it either one or the other. Because if you try to build muscle and at the same time you want to lose fat, like what most people want, and maybe because you want to improve also your cardio and your heart health. So it's kind of
Yeah,
all results, all kind of things, but they are so you if you try to do them all the time at the same
yeah.
time you won't get those results what you want. So
Competing in
approach,
bodybuilding and trying to run a marathon. Yeah, they
yeah,
typically don't blend together.
no, but it's like you can have all results, but if you work
Yeah,
on let's say 1 to 3 months for building
sure.
muscle, then next
Yeah,
1 to 3 months put kind of that strength on maintenance and work towards cardio, so you can have in longer period of time all kind of results, all those results
yeah.
what you wanted originally, but not just because if you try to do all the time everything at the same time, you end up having a lot less results as you would
Yeah,
get when you focus only on one thing at a time. And
100%.
building muscle and doing excessive amount of cardio is probably not the smartest strategy to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can be a jack of all but a master. It's not to say cardio, like cardio doesn't necessarily kill your gains, but if you're doing an excess amount and you're not able to recover from it, like that's going to be big as well. Like I wouldn't just go from doing four strength and now all of a sudden you do four strength and then three 1 hour runs. Like you're probably not going to be able to recover from that, and it's going to
Right.
have a negative impact on your cardio. But there is no issue in microdosing into your training. But as what you were saying there, Toro, it's good to break up the year into different seasons, and maybe over the winter when the weather isn't as good, you might prioritize your strength. Whereas during the summertime when the weather is
Oh
nice and
yeah.
warm, and maybe you want to get out for a run or get out for a cycle, as you were saying, that can be a good position because it's so much easier to maintain your strength. Like you can do the minimum effective dose of strength training, which might be as little as two full body workouts a week,
Even
particularly the
one.
more advanced you are. And that's
Yeah.
enough for you to maintain your muscle mass. It does require a lot of effort to build muscle, but to maintain it's not nearly as hard. So, as
Right.
you're saying, if you just zoom out, pinch out, have a long term view, and understand that different seasons of the year you might have different goals, different priorities. Again, going back to what we're saying at the start, it's a
Right.
nice way to keep things fun and interesting
Right.
and
Exactly.
work towards different goals at different times of the year.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you said, that it keeps things so much more interesting when you have like that you don't always just go to gym or work getting build muscle and work getting stronger. When you focus on different phases, like let's say 3 months for focusing improving cardio, next 3 months it's focusing more on gym, and then maybe next month if you have some specific sport what you want to, like it could be
Yeah,
improving your athletic performance or anything else which is it's still kind of strength training, it's just a different strength. And this is often what I really liked what you wrote. You have a, by the way, Adrian, have an amazing website,
oh, thank you.
maxstylefitness.com, and he have very good articles there. So if you
I
go to
appreciate
check
that.
those articles, they are very good. I really like the one where you talked about like how to tone up and build muscle without looking like a bodybuilder, and you talked about
Yeah.
training like an athlete. So could you explain a little bit what you mean like training like an athlete?
Yeah. So look, I guess life happens three-dimensionally, and with life, we don't just move in one plane of motion. Like believe it or not, even for everyday gym goers or parents out there, you might have children and you want to play ball with them, and the ball runs to the left or runs to the right, or you have to pick up something from the floor. Life happens essentially three-dimensional. I'm a big believer we should train that way. And there's nothing wrong with training for a bodybuilder if you want to look like a bodybuilder. But if you want to have performance-based goals and you want to be more athletic, it's important you train different it's basically important you incorporate different methods of training into your program. So, for example, if you want to be more powerful or more explosive, it could be something like we might just start out with some basic pogo jumps or box jumps. Okay, where you're focusing on jumping as high as possible and generating a whole lot of force. Or what you were saying there, Turo, at the start, med ball slams. Like med ball slams are a very very efficient way, or you can even do them lying down on the floor. So imagine like you're throwing a med ball, you're lying up looking at the ceiling, you're throwing a med ball towards the ceiling. Prone or supine med ball push-ups or throws are a very good method there. So you're
Mhm.
training power, it could be a jump, it could be a throw, it could be a sprint. Then
Mhm.
maybe like an element of strength training there too. So that could be okay. We look at a compound lift and we go for like something like a 5 rep max and we say a trap bar
Mhm.
deadlift. That's where you're incorporating some strength. And look, I love a good bit of pump work as well. So there's nothing wrong with doing a lot of pump work if you want to have the aesthetics. And then there's obviously the cardiovascular element too of just being fit. Because having competed in bodybuilding last year, you can look fit and not necessarily be fit. And there's a big, big difference between health and being fit and health and fitness. And for me, I may have looked fit, but I wasn't very healthy because my body fat levels were so low. My hormones were all over the place. I was freaking hungry, libido low. Whereas I feel when you have more aesthetic or athletic based goals, like when you think about it, when you look your best as a bodybuilder, that's when you're feeling your worst. Whereas most competitive sports, people peak
Mhm.
performance for one event or one day. Like athletes have to look their best, perform their best. Think of a mixed martial art, Conor McGregor. He has to be at his peak condition for a fight. Think of just would say like Cristiano Ronaldo. That's when he wants to be optimize his performance for a match in the pitch. So whereas bodybuilding, it's like you look your worst and you feel your worst, even though you're not that healthy in the inside. So that's why I'm a big, big believer in having more athletic based goals, and that's why I much prefer them in general for everyone.
Mhm. No, absolutely. And this is not like a like training, like because I find it for many people like so motivating. Like when you go to gym, you have some goal what you want to accomplish.
Yeah,
Like it's a setting those goals. Like even if you don't play some sports, but it could be like it's we are all kind of different in setting goals. For someone, it could be running a marathon or
yeah,
entering some kind of event. It could be like here in Italy, we have a lot of like kind of Spartan races or that kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
events. Like it's just some kind of goal where you work towards, or if it could be simply just a strength based goal. Like if you want to get your first push up or pull up or just to give a couple examples. So you have a kind of performance based goal towards you are working, and then you are not just going to gym because you have to go to gym and do these exercises, and if you have that kind of like a athletic or performance based goal, this is the one what keeps it kind of also interesting and keeps you
100%,
going. And then when you look back, you have stayed consistent and you have accomplished not
100%.
only that goal, but also you have reached your, most likely your body will look better than ever, and you will most likely even that body. I'm now a bit
Absolutely.
older, like I don't care anymore that much. When I was a younger, I was
Yeah,
also a bit insecure and wanted to look better. Now, what
yeah,
matters for me is all about how I'm feeling and what kind
100%.
of energy levels I have, and that kind of aesthetic goals, and is they are not anymore that important for me.
Yeah,
I just work towards my health and kind of trying to be able to live as healthy as possible and as long as possible.
100%. Yeah, I'm
So
really aligned with you on that. Yeah.
yeah. So do you what kind of goals you have? How you set your own goals and how what you are working towards at the moment?
Yeah, so what I'm working towards the moment, so I played GA for 25 years, And unfortunately, my last ever game, I did my ankle. I had to get an operation, and then COVID came around, and that was like delayed by like 11 months. And basically, long story short, my ankle injury, it then led to a like a top of my hamstring slash hip injury. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to sprint, like max effort sprint, in over almost 5 years at this stage, over 4 years. And while I have like ran a half marathon in that time frame, I have been able to do some incline sprints in the treadmill, like nothing at full throttle. So for me this year, my goals are purely performance based. And it mightn't sound like a lot, but I get so much, like running is like something I hate doing, but I love having ran.
Hmm.
And I really just want to get back into that good vibe of like feeling nice and strong, feeling nice and athletic. And as you were saying, pain-free performance. The greatest
Yeah.
ability is availability. And for me, I just want to be able to do every single movement that I want to do without having any nagging injuries. So I just really want to build up my glutes. I'm in a decent enough calorie surplus at the moment. And I am noticing the huge difference now in my running from just doing a lot more glute work and leg work and really emphasizing like just time under tension there. So my big goal for this year is to get back running pain free, sprint free, or sprinting pain free, should I say? And let's take things from there.
Hmm. Amazing. Oh, these are like just an examples, because that's why I wanted to like ask like what kind
And
of
a sub
goals do you
20,
have?
I'd love to get a sub 25K as well, because
Yeah.
that will lend nicely to it. Yeah, I got 20 no, 2040 or 2038, I think is my record. So I want to get in the
Oh,
19-minute range.
oh,
That'll be
nice.
good as well because look, it lends well to what I'm doing because I want to build my glutes, I want to get stronger.
Mm.
And then part of that will obviously be that I want to incorporate an element of running. So that'll be a lovely way if I could round out both of them, Turo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is just a great example. Like you have a big goal in your mind, what you want to
Yeah,
accomplish. Like it's not always doesn't mean that you enjoy every single workout what you do. Like,
yeah,
but then it makes you feel, and you know what you are working. Like you have glute strength and other things that what you need to be doing. But you mentioned about being injury free. So what are like, because obviously this is something like what you like, especially when you are getting older, and those injuries they
yeah.
always suck. And if you whatever you are doing, like this is something what I
Mm,
hear often. Like I know that there are a lot of like people who it's especially here is a huge trend doing CrossFit. And
yeah,
I love it. It's I understand why it's so popular. Like it's
100%.
it gives you that kind of feeling of
100%.
accomplishing something.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I hear so
Risk of
many
injury.
people who are getting injured
Yeah.
while doing
Yeah.
CrossFit. They are like if you look, I don't know if there's any CrossFitter, but if I look just a couple of my friends who are doing CrossFit, they are every year at least
Yeah.
1 to 2 months injured.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I'm just thinking, like, is this really worth of it, or is it? Are you even?
Yeah.
It feels amazing. It feels great. You might look and feel great, but is it? Would you be able to see better, or even feel a little bit differently, or feel even better if you would train a bit differently? What
Yeah.
is kind of
Yeah.
safer way of doing it? So
Yeah.
how you are preventing injuries?
Yeah. It's such a great question. So going back to our initial point, compound lifts are amazing.
Mhm.
Compound lifts also, because they train more than one muscle group, they do come with, let's say, a higher risk of injury because you have to understand when you're training in the gym, not every lift is created equal. Doing a set of bicep curls to failure is going to have a completely different adaptation than doing a set of deadlifts to failure, which is why I don't recommend doing a set of deadlifts to failure. And this is why there's no one size fits all as well, to what we're saying, because yes, deadlifts are great, squats are great, but you have to earn the right to touch the bar. Like if you're in the gym for the first time or you don't have a whole lot of experience, I'm not going to put you doing a max effort deadlift or putting a bar in your back and ask you to squat. You have to earn the right there. That's why you have to have good progressions in place. And then just as you age, as you get older, not neglecting mobility work.
Oh,
Like a challenge of mine in the past is I was very, very good at doing the hard work and I love the hard work and I love getting after it and freaking sweating and training hard and
mhm.
I'm feeling good and I'm David Goggins and burn the boats and all of this. And that's great. It's good to have that mindset and mentality. But over time that can lead to burnout, and if you do too much too soon, that can also lead to injury. So that's why you need to have like just the right amount of volume where you're seeing the results without completely overfrying your nervous system and overfrying yourself. And that's why, look, if you're like, particularly with the compound lifts, I always just say, even I was doing squats Monday, I'm like, there's definitely one in the tank. There's probably even two in the tank, but I'm just going to cut it too short there, because going back, the greatest ability is availability. And particularly for compound lifts, I just don't think the risk versus reward of training them to absolute failure is enough. You can still get the desired stimulus if you train within 2-3 reps of reserve. So they're kind of lifts that you have to be more careful with. And that's why CrossFit, as you were saying, I love the intensity, I love the work ethic it brings, but like, I can't think of anything more dangerous than doing a set of deadlifts to failure when your heart rate's at 160, or doing clean and jerks, or clean and snacks, or clean and snatch, or all of these power jerks, like big compound movements in a highly fatigued state. That's why the risk of injury, and that's why CrossFit does have, we'll say, a higher risk of injury compared to, we'll say, just other forms of lifting and sport.
No, absolutely, and it makes so much sense. Like you said that those, like, kind of doing exhausted, like it's a little bit knowing actually what you are doing and why you are doing, and if you go on with when you are already feeling tired and you are trying to max out all kind of doing like this, what we talked earlier, kind of doing everything at the same time in the same workout, you get the most strength gains while improving your cardio, and while you get, obviously you get, especially if you haven't done it before, you will get amazing results in the beginning, but then at some point you will have some injuries. And what you mentioned, what I personally, I wasn't even kind of aware of things called mobility workout. And now when getting older, because it's always when you are lifting weights and doing kind of strength training, you get a little bit more stiff, and
100%.
And then to put that like that, because you want to keep that kind of flexibility, and most people, they think that should I do some kind of stretches or something, and obviously stretching is not bad, but I would say still that mobility work is a lot better than stretching, and knowing like those kind of things, why those injuries are happening is often the reason is that you are lacking some kind of movement, because when we are doing like regular things, if you have a desk job or similar job, that you are in the same position whole day long, so it's kind of that when you look small kids, we all are born with all these abilities. They are able to climb, they are able to do handstands, and now why we are losing it when we are aging, it's not that something happens, but it's just the reason is that we are just
100%.
not using them. So and this changed my kind of approach, that I take time. Like mobility work is something like that, I often feel, and I was talking myself out of it too, that I don't have time doing it. I don't want to do it. I was, like you mentioned, I was also I was chasing the feeling after workout. And if you do some mobility workout, you don't feel the same way as you feel after you have went for doing some cardio session or strength training session. You are after mobility workout, you don't feel, but it don't have to be full mobility workout. It can be part of your warm-up, part of your
100%.
cool down, just a couple minutes. Like a good mobility workout is 1 to 10 minutes. It don't need to be longer.
100%.
And what is more important is that it's kind of more that you do it often. It don't need to be a full hour workout. It's just that if it's 2 minutes, but several times or every single day or even throughout the day, like because mobility, it's something that you don't need to go to gym. You can do it like actually I was talking yesterday with one of my clients who had a kind of wrist issues, and I said this could be a good exercise also to do at home. I said, yeah, absolutely. And it's just that when you remember doing it, and then we come to habits, how you are going to, when you are going to build those
100%.
things into your workout. Is that if you, let's say you have some habit what you already have, so for example brushing your teeth, you might not feel doing it every single day, but you hopefully do it. And if you combine for that habit what you already have and say that, okay, my rule is that I'm going to do uh, 1 minute wrist mobility exercises before I brush my teeth. So you have your mobility
That's
workout
awesome,
already
man. I like that.
already
Your habit
already
stacking. Yeah,
included a routine what you have, and then that's when it's getting done.
100%.
So are you just curious to know, are you doing mobility workouts or mobility, how you are including mobility work in your own routine or for your clients?
Yeah, so what I like to do is I like to do it at the start of the workout. And
Right.
depending on the workout that I'm doing, I will obviously tailor it towards that. And also as well, I like doing mobility supersets. So we'll say I was doing back squats on Monday and I supersetted that with a bar hang for your shoulders. Because doing a bar hang, it's not going to take away from your squat, but it will help
Right.
improve your shoulder mobility. So I think if you are somewhat of like a time restricted professional and you need to be in and out in the gym, but you also want to take care of your mobility work, use your rest periods wisely.
Oh yeah.
Like we'll say pair every upper body lift. You could be doing something, we'll say like a flat bench press. You could pair that during your 2 minute or 90-second rest period with a hip flexor stretch.
Oh
And
yeah.
then for your lower body, that could be where you could do some shoulder mobility or band put aparts or face pulls or, just basic good mobility exercise that would help free up your shoulders, because the three most common areas are your ankles, your hips, and your shoulders. If you take care of those, often other areas like your low back, you may have low back pain, but it mightn't actually be coming from your low back. It could be as a result of tight hips, maybe underdeveloped glutes or underdeveloped core muscles or
Right.
incorrect just breathing. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of mobility work, particularly microdosing it in and just like doing some basic fundamental movements every day, as you were saying, to keep it ticking over.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. These are like you mentioned. Those are just think it ways like how you could including them, like especially like what you mentioned during the rest times. Like if you work like let's say you work on you have a 2-3 minute rest between your sets, like what by the way you should have when you have like a heavy, you are using heavier weights and
Yeah,
doing lower reps. And this period of time, like for most people, especially I work a lot of with the women, you are, and but also for men who are time restricted, and let's say you need to do 5 squats, but you have to rest 3 minutes in between. Let's say that your resting time
yeah,
is 3 minutes, and then they're like that, but if I have only 30-minute time, I won't be resting 3 minutes. But if you still should rest the 3 minutes, even you have only 30 minutes, because if you, the reason is that if you don't rest enough, you won't be able to use as heavy
performance.
weights
Yeah,
what you would be using otherwise. And this is a great time, like you mentioned, doing some mobility work, if you know what areas are your weaknesses, if it's a hips, if it's a shoulder, if it's an ankle, or whatever
100%.
area it is, and then during that time it's a great opportunity to do 1-2 minute mobility work. So because this is mobility is something that you can do always. I probably wouldn't do stretches between some lifts or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
but mobility is something because it's not taxing your body, and this is something that you can do. It doesn't matter how hard your workout was, you can always do even after your workout stretching. You can do it. It's great,
100%.
great thing to do during the
100%.
warm up and something. So this was a kind of thing. So for athletic performance, I wanted to ask you a little bit how you are when you are working on athletic performance, and this is something like how you are you using periodization, or how you are when let's say somebody got inspired now and want to work on, have some kind of goal in their mind what they want to improve, and how you plan that, what kind of are you using periodization, or how you plan workouts for that kind of person?
Yeah, it's just really forward thinking, backward planning, and there's no one size fits all approach. But again, it starts with the end in mind. Like, what's the goal that we want to train for? And for a lot of people, if it is a case that would say you want to do like a sub 20-minute 5K, for instance, well, where do we need to be strong? We need to have a good cardiovascular base. We need to also have some good leg strength there. So that means there has to be an element of strength and also cardiovascular work included. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to do them on the same day. Typically, if you can do them on separate days, that's going to benefit you so you can maximize your performance in both ends. But again, it's just being really clear on the goal in mind and then reverse engineering from that. If someone wants to have, like, we'll say for some of my athletes, they play GA back home in Ireland. So they want to get faster, they need to sprint faster, they want to be more powerful. So what's a movement that could mimic that? Because everything in the gym room is general. It's basically we're doing general exercises, but again, some exercises carry over more, have more of a correlation on the pitch. So if someone wants to get faster at running, well, what's if a movement that's similar to running, something like a heavy sled push, where you have that forward athletic lean, you're leaning into the ground, you're driving with your ankle, your knee, and your hips. Will that directly make sure that you're going to run faster? Potentially not, but it's going to have more of an indirect effect than doing something like a leg extension. So it's just trying to meet the client where they're at, look at the goals, and then see what are some exercises that could at least mimic that movement or have a good correlation. Another one being, okay, you need to be exposed to it. Running, you obviously need to build up your hamstring. So we could do some form of direct hamstring work, or Nordic hamstring curls are a great exercise. You want to be more exposed from the start. That's where, okay, what's a lift where you have to really like generate a lot of force from a starting position? Something like a trap bar deadlift. You want to be faster and you're let's just say you want to be faster and have more force in the ground when you're sprinting, something like a Bulgarian split squat. So it's not to say that they're like that these exercises basically they have more potential to have a positive carryover for someone who wants to perform better than just doing traditional bodybuilding splits or machine work, simply because they somewhat mimic the activity you want to perform.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is a great answer. So basically, if you think like this is something what I when I talk with the athletes, I always say that I go because this my background is I used to be a professional ice hockey player, and that's when I was it's like 25 years ago when I started strength training, and at the time there was not really knowledge about sport
Yeah,
specific strength training, so it was all about like. Doing just basically some bodybuilding program or powerlifting
yeah,
program, and we were doing like a heavy squats, heavy bench presses, and but obviously they have nothing to do with the ice hockey. And now training how it have changed at the moment is all
yeah,
like when you think your sport, is it played? Are you using two legs at the same time, or are
yeah,
you skating or like in ice hockey, or are you running? So you are basically never 2 feet on the ground. So exercise selection is just about
it
like
is important.
thinking,
Yeah, it's
thinking,
very
thinking your
important.
sport, finding kind of similar exercises what you need in your
Yes,
specific sport, and then like you mentioned, if your goal is, for example, to become more explosive, so how you get more explosive, it's not only getting obviously sprints are part of it, but if you explain like how to get that strength, like you need that kind of maximum strength. So if you look, for
yeah,
example, athletes who are like let's say some shot putter or like a athletic field,
yeah,
like they are big guys, they are not, but they have
100%.
to be, they are very strong, they are very explosive.
Yeah,
And actually it's a funny thing, but if you put them in a sprinting line with the 100-meter sprinters, if they need to run first 10 meters, those big guys, they are not too much behind because they are very,
oh,
very fast
100%.
in those
Yeah,
first couple of meters because they have that strength. Obviously, then what they are missing, they miss that endurance because they're in their
yeah.
sport, it's all about that
The
one,
first, yeah,
two, one,
yeah,
2, 3 seconds. But if you for that time period of time, there is not big difference between athletes, and so it's all about first of all gaining that maximum strength. So you have those fast too. So you need to have heavier weights and a lower amount of reps. And then on the
100%.
other side, it's kind of that explosiveness and also having enough rest time. So those are
Yeah,
those are kind of
that's huge.
principles what I personally struggled always, and now it's a kind of approach what I try to follow for myself, and I do also when what have bring kind of the most results for my clients is that when you focus, like also when you work on toward athletic performance, you work on one single thing at a time. So it could be
Yes.
gaining maximum strength. It could be increasing your strength endurance. It could be increasing just your speed and doing some sprints, fast stuffs. And if you have possibility, like for athletes, off season is a great time to look how long you have time, what is possible to do, and then creating a plan according to that.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Turo.
Thank you, Adrian. Really appreciate it. And to finish this episode, thank you first of all so much sharing. It was a lot of fun talking with you.
Yeah, awesome, man.
So
Yeah, really
what
enjoyed it.
what plans you have for your MacLife fitness? What are going to be the next steps? What you are doing? If you want to share a little bit what you are currently doing
Yeah,
and
with
what
the
plans you have.
with the business, yeah, with the business at the moment. So I'm really excited about it. I'm doing my first ever in-person client photo shoot. So I'm flying home from Dubai back to Ireland next month. So this is February 2024. We're recording this in March 2024. I'll be flying back home and I'll be doing a group photo shoot with some of my clients and then doing a group
Nice.
workout afterwards and going for a bit of food. So I'm really excited about that because as formerly a primary school teacher, you meet a lot of people during the day, but then when I became a full-time online coach, there can be days there where it's just yourself and the laptop and you sometimes miss that in-person element. So I'm really looking forward to bringing the in-person back online again and getting that hybrid
Nice.
approach. So that's something I'm very excited about. And also as well, so one of the guys who's doing the photo shoot, Kev, he is going to be my new assistant coach at Mac Lifestyle Fitness. So he's going to be assisting me with my check-in so that we can help more people out, transform the way they look, they feel, they perform. So again, I'm just training him in at the moment, and he's a great guy. He's doing a great job, and it's just something I'm really excited about. So I'd say those two things: the client photo shoot in the short term, training Kevin in the long term, and just be.
I guess I lost you a little bit.
Oh, apologies, my internet went there. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I was just saying I have a client photo shoot coming up next month,
Yeah,
which
I
I'm
heard it.
really
I heard
excited
it.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the
and one of
last
the
thing.
Yeah, and one of the guys who's doing the client photo shoot, he's also going to be my new assistant coach at Mac
Yeah.
Lifestyle Fitness, Kev. So I'm going to be training. I'm currently actually in the process of training him in as well because the best
Nice.
coach are the ones who have gone through your process and understand your process. So they're two things that I'm really excited about, and just growing the brand, growing the business, and continuing to make progress. Like everything in the gym, adding 1.25 kilograms to the bar, like it's no one will understand it, but you would understand it. It would make you
Yeah.
feel much better. And the same with business. If I can just start seeing, and once I see progress, and once my clients are getting better results, and I'm delivering a better service, and I'm just small incremental changes every single week, it has a compounding effect over time. The last thing is I want to write a book, and
Oh, nice.
I'm in the process of writing that now. So hopefully that will be out at the end of 2024, all going well.
Oh, nice. So where people can find and how people can find you. So if you have
I
any,
appreciate that, Toro. Yeah, the best place to find me is just on Instagram, MC Lifestyle Fitness. So Mac Lifestyle Fitness, and there you see a link to my podcast, to my blog, which Toro alluded to. And if you have any other questions, don't be afraid to reach out and pop me a message.
yeah. So if you are looking skinny fat solution or Adrian, like I go to hire him. He's amazing coach, and I'm not just saying it. I have followed him, read his stuff, what he's doing. Obviously, I haven't worked with him, but go absolutely check him out.
I appreciate that, Toro. I
So
appreciate it, and many happy returns. I appreciate that, man.
thank you so much for coming to my show, and Talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Turo.
Hold up, friend. Do you love Fit Me Turo Fitness podcast? If so, the best way to say thank you is to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review on iTunes. I know every podcaster wants you to leave a review, but it's because those reviews help the podcast to reach more people. I truly want to know what you think, and if this particular episode resonated with you, would you also please share it? Either send a link to someone who you think will find it valuable, or take a screenshot and post it into your social media and tell your friends and family why they should listen it. Make sure you tag me so I can hear your feedback and give you a little love. And if you aren't already following me on Instagram or TikTok, that's the perfect time to hit that follow button. Thank you for being here and listening to Fit Me Turo Fitness podcast.